In Invincible, Oliver asks Nolan if he ever truly loved Debbie. This all happens after they were left stranded in some unknown planet after Mark's second fight with Conquest. Oliver starts the conversation by referring to Debbie as his mom, questioning Nolan whether he truly thinks he loves her. Nolan then says that he knows he does, and that it took him many months of healing in the Viltrumite prison to make that realization. He then goes out to explain that despite Viltrumites having the capability to show affection, they don't really care for each other like humans do. Their lives are so long that over time they grow distant, making it hard to ever form a bond with one another. And while none of the Viltrumites will ever admit it, they do live very lonely and solitary lives, especially now with their numbers being so depleted. Living on Earth, however, changed Nolan. Seeing how humans grow so close to each other and cared so deeply for their loved ones despite their short lifespan was something Nolan learned to admire. Now, at first, Nolan was acting more or less like a spectator, watching as they lived their lives and acting as if he was one of them, while also growing closer and pretending to form a bond with Debbie. But then Nolan asked himself, why her? Did he just randomly pick her, or was there something else? At first, he told himself that that was the only way to live his life on Earth. He couldn't possibly care for such a frail creature. But he later learned that he did care for her. He had a connection with her. They even had Mark and raised him together, not as a Viltrumite but as a human. At first, he thought to himself that he was just biding his time, waiting for Mark to develop his powers and see how well human DNA mixed with Viltrumite DNA. But he never looked at that life as a chore. In fact, he enjoyed it. Over time, he had fallen into the role of a human husband, so much so that when Mark got his powers, it was more of a burden than anything. And it was after this that he started debating whether he should go back to being a Viltrumite and carry out his mission, or should he just ignore his duty and continue living the life he so much enjoyed with the woman he loved. In the end, he chose to carry out his mission despite how conflicted he was. And it was only when he looked down on Mark being beaten by his own hands that he felt devastated, something a Viltrumite wouldn't typically feel. However, by the time he came to this realization, it was too late.